Welcome to Blizzard Entertainment. I'm Frank Pierce, one of Blizzard's co-founders. Today, we're going to be giving you a behind-the-scenes look at the making of World of Warcraft's newest and most exciting expansion yet, Cataclysm. The Warcraft universe has been evolving ever since the release of our first real-time strategy game, Warcraft Orcs and Humans, in 1994. The Cataclysm expansion takes the idea of change to a whole new level by completely transforming the world of Azeroth. Let's meet some of the teams responsible for this new chapter in Warcraft's history. Welcome to the World of Warcraft development team area. In these offices, designers work on everything from developing quests to fine-tuning battleground mechanics. So for Cataclysm, the team was faced with the challenge of redesigning Azeroth. To give you some more insight, members of the team are going to talk about the game's design, programming, art, story, and of course our main villain, Deathwing.
One of the challenges as World of Warcraft goes along is we keep wanting to add new stuff to it. I mean, it's a 5 or 6 year old game at this point, so there's a lot of new things to put in, but at the same time, the game just gets really, really big.
When we finished Wrath of the Lich King, we had a little bit of a moment of, wow, how will we ever top that? How will we do something better? Because we really had a lot of affinity for the Lich King. He obviously is a person who has a lot of story and a lot of history in the Warcraft universe. Bringing that story to a close felt really incredible and felt really epic. And we didn't really know originally how we were gonna top that.
One of the greatest evolutions, and I call it an evolution because that's really what it is, has been in quest design.
We want to have the players feel like they're taking a part in the actual course of the action rather than just going into a dungeon to kill these, you know, kind of 3 guys for some loot. We'd rather have them feel like they're progressing the story forward.
I think we've become a lot better storytellers over the last couple of expansions. I think that we have figured out ways technologically to tell those stories.
What's the player's experience going to be coming through here? We try to tell a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, kind of building to a climax on this zone's tale.
The driving force that we would like to know is that the players are trying to find out more about the story, and they want to push forward and know exactly, you know, why are they in this spot? What are they trying to do?
We've also learned through the process of doing Lich King about how to use our villains.
That's a huge difference between playing through Wrath of the Lich King and playing through Burning Crusade, where, yeah, Illidan was in a lot of the art and stuff like that, but a lot of players never saw him and they didn't really bump into him all the time. Whereas once you're going through Northrend, gosh, the Lich King is everywhere. He's popping up in dungeons and quests, and you hear about him all the time. Definitely want to do the same thing with Deathwing and Cataclysm, where his presence is felt and he's around.
Part of setting an environment like this is making sure the fiction is sold correctly. And to do that, the world has to be cohesive.
I think a lot of the lessons we've learned are coming into play just by the concept that we're redoing the old world.
Probably an order of 30 to 40 of the old world zones that are at least moderate to heavily redone.
Looking back at the old world and counting all the zones and like trying to figure out how long it's going to take and how much time we have to spend on each zone. And it's kind of like, oh my God, there's so much here to work on.
When we set up initially, we set up a kind of a master list of zones.
And then we made 2 columns. One is questing, and then one was level design.
We went through those zones and classified them into 3 categories, essentially, high, medium, and low.
For basically how much each zone sucked for both of those categories.
We took that list and we just started essentially doing a triage of sorts. We really just kind of sat down and went through the zones hand by hand and just said, okay, what's important for us for this expansion?
Some zones, actually we thought we were okay level design wise, but just needed some quest help. Some zones needed a lot more level design help than they did quest, but in a lot of cases, zones that were really in bad shape or in bad shape for multiple reasons, and so in both ways.
Examples would be Thousand Needles,
Westfall,
Lordaeron,
Sunken Temple,
Western Playlands,
Stone Talon,
Dead Mines,
Silver Pines,
Stormwind,
Glock Modan,
Blackrock Depths.
There's a ton of stuff, basically.
A good example would be something like the Barrens, a huge zone. For most players, really hard to get around. You didn't have mount speed and things like that. So we went back, cut it into 2 zones.
One of them being a horde-only zone, which is Northern Barrens, and that would be a 10 to 20 horde zone, and then the southern part of the Barrens, which became a 30 to 35 everybody zone.
And then split it up, requested everything with better hubs and better flows. So I think what people will find is that when you're playing through something like that, it'll feel more similar to what a Northrend zone from a quest flow perspective felt like. You'll see new vehicle quests, just a lot of new tech and a lot of things to just make the flow a lot cleaner overall.
Getting in under the hood and fixing all those has been a huge challenge.
A lot of players might not realize how much smoke and mirrors there was behind, the curtains.
It's the designers, that's what they do. They figure out ways to make awesome. And we have to kind of go, okay, that's awesome. Now let's actually make it work.
I'd like to say that what we did is we just, did some little like this, and then people could fly over terrain. But that's really not how it was.
So one of the big new introductions with Cataclysm is the ability to use your flying mount in the old world. Obviously, this is something that has taken a lot of work for us. It's a bigger challenge than what most players might imagine.
The reason we didn't do it, we haven't done it sooner, is because of what that would entail, which was essentially redoing the whole world. When we thought, well, we've got this expansion called Cataclysm coming out, and we happen to be redoing the whole world, so guess what? What better time, right?
The original game was not designed with flying mounts in mind, with any kind of ability to see above the ground level.
A large majority of it for the players just doesn't exist. If you couldn't get there, we just didn't build it.
Mountain ranges that had no backsides or coastlines that hadn't been detailed.
We as game developers, we like to cheat a lot. And by cheat, we mean save ourselves time. And if you don't ever see it, then there's no reason to finish it. There's no reason to really make it look good. And so you can get away with a lot of trickery.
Stormwind was one giant smoke and mirror, pretty much.
It's all facades, and if you flew over Stormwind, it would just be a lot of really, really bad things.
Cathedral in Stormwind was originally built in a way where it was just kind of floating above Stormwind, and you only saw the real cathedral as you came into the district where the cathedral actually existed.
Stormwind was effectively almost a rework from the ground up in terms of making it actually work and work in a 3D environment space like that.
And that was a monumental task, and they did an amazing job. Flying over, it's stunning, and the same for Orgrimmar. Aside from all the new stuff they did to it, again, same issues, and it looks amazing.
In the process, we were actually also able to add some more to it.
While we're making it flyable, let's go ahead and add in the things that we had always wanted to have. So something like Stormwind Keep was never really a building players could see, or really it was just kind of a texture on the side of a hill. So we took the opportunity to go back and completely build the keep out in 3D, redesign the interior so it makes a little bit more sense for the players, give it a huge courtyard out front with a huge statue of Varian Wrynn, really reinforced our new leaders that we have now. So not only are we trying to make the cities feel better and more usable for players, but we're also trying to reinforce the storylines of what's been happening.
The storyline is very much centered around Deathwing's reemergence into Azeroth.
So with the Cataclysm comes destruction.
You can see the impact that Deathwing is having on the old world. You can see it in places like Stormwind, where he's crashed into the towers at the front of Stormwind gates. You can see it in places like Loch Modan, where he's kind of crushed his way through the dam at Loch Modan, causing a huge flood into the wetlands.
We knew we wanted to show some destruction from Deathwing and Stormwind, but we didn't know exactly how we were going to do it. We were thinking about maybe making it look like he had burned some tops of the buildings, maybe he had knocked over some statues. And those things we did, and we just didn't feel like it had the impact that we wanted. So what we ended up doing is making a hard call, and we just destroyed the entire park district. It's just completely gone at this point. All our druid trainers are there, our moonwell is there. We had a number of things there that we ended up having to relocate to other parts of the city. At the same time, it added a huge story element to the city. When we were originally designing the zones for Cataclysm, we knew we had to come up with 5 new zones, and each had to feel unique. And one of the big pitches that we had was for a zone called Vashir, which was going to be our first ever underwater zone.
Challenges of doing an underwater zone, aside from everything not working, it's hard to target, it's hard to fight. Even if you're moving at run speed, for example, it's going to feel slower because you don't have anything to ground you.
3D combat is really hard, and we're not like a flight sim. So it's like, you know, if you're playing a flight simulator game, you have all this heads-up display with all the little whoopie-doo arrows and circles on the edge of the screen and all that stuff that tell you your target's over there, your locked target's over there, incoming missile from the right. Well, this is WoW. This is a fantasy game. That doesn't make any sense.
Nobody likes swimming. I don't think I've played a game that swimming is enjoyable in.
Many of us have played games underwater, and the experience has been, in the past, less than satisfactory. And of course, we don't want that for WoW. We want awesome. That's what Blizzard does.
We do want to convey the vastness of the ocean, of the sea, and we want to make sure that people feel like they're underwater. But we don't want the issues that come with being underwater.
So how do we make a 3D environment like underwater swimming feel good? The answer, put you on the floor.
We came up with a concept of sea legs, essentially. Through a series of quests, you earn your sea legs, and we allow you to walk on the ground. And then what we do is occasionally, not every quest, but occasionally send you up to swim. What's cool about the sea legs effect is that while you're walking underwater, if you press the spacebar to jump, essentially, you go into a swim. So it does feel like a free-form swim, but it feels magical too. We actually got our animation team on board with doing a special series of animations for all the races to really make it feel like you're running and walking underwater, and that turned out awesome.
We also created an entire new art kit. We did a ton of research and we came up with just a huge number of corals, of new creatures. We have a whale shark creature down there that I think is the size of possibly a whole dungeon. It's huge. You'll see it swimming around in the zone. I think it's kind of a good example of how we sometimes take things way too far past where they need to be, but what we end up with is something that's really amazing in the end.
So PvP has undergone a huge evolution from when we originally launched the game till today.
Early on, I think the designers hoped that world PvP would just erupt. You would see the enemy and you would go kill them, and that would just be, you know, you would kind of find the fun there.
The way I would put PvP as World of Warcraft launched was quest ganking, right?
Cataclysm, kind of the next step, is to go back to the battlegrounds, which we thought did a really good job of capturing that orcs versus humans feel.
The inspiration for the new battlegrounds is oriented around giving players new environments, but with familiar gameplay.
One of the battlegrounds is called the Battle for Gilneas. Art-wise, we went with a Gilneas art kit. The gameplay style is 3-point AB style map. The other one is Twin Peaks, and Twin Peaks is a capture the flag style battleground. So rule set wise, it'll feel very similar to Warsong Gulch. When they get there, it'll feel familiar. They'll know the storylines because they've played through the quests there, so it won't feel, you know, like something foreign.
So you can get together with your friends, make a team that goes into battlegrounds and get any type of PvP rewards available in the game.
We're trying to make sure that we maintain a better balance of that original vision of battleground mayhem versus the skilled arena battles, the tight, intense, small, teamwork-oriented kind of stuff, and trying to make sure that we get the best of both worlds.
Hopefully this is going to be like what PvP was always meant to feel like. I'm sure by the time players are playing this, they'll know whether or not we were successful with that.
Cataclysm certainly represents the largest change to World of Warcraft since it launched, and we're really excited to be able to go back and revisit some of our best places and worst places and really take them to a new level that we think players are going to be really excited about.
We really have a better feel for what makes for effective quest mechanics, better ways to tell stories, and then of course we have a lot more in our toolkit now than we used to.
We're always trying to figure out ways to make this a WoW game that we all love and just take it to the next level.
The guys have been working really hard on it, and it feels so different, so new.
We liken developing WoW to kind of the runaway train. It's always going, you know, you can't ever stop and catch your breath. It's just more content, more stuff.
Sometimes it's nice to just kind of stop and smell the roses, as they say. It's all in the details, and I think there's a lot of that the players can enjoy.